Chapter 1. Control thoughts create your reality. You see, everything begins in the mind. The way a person thinks shapes what they become. Life doesn't just happen by accident, it follows the direction of your thoughts. When the mind is scattered, life is scattered. When the mind is focused, life begins to take shape. What you hold in your thoughts every day becomes the script you live by. It determines how you speak, how you feel, how you act, and eventually what kind of results you create. That's why controlling your thoughts is the first real step toward controlling your life. Most people never stop to notice what's really happening in their own minds. Thoughts run wild all day, and many of them aren't useful. They tell you you're not enough. They replay mistakes. They predict failure before you even try. These thoughts seem harmless, but they slowly become the foundation of how you see yourself. If you think you can't, you won't. If you think life is hard, it will be. If you think you don't deserve better, you'll never try for it. The mind is not just reacting to life, it's building it. So, the question is, what kind of thoughts are you building with? Every morning, every hour, your mind is constructing the path ahead. You can't build success out of self-doubt. You can't build happiness out of constant worry. You can't build peace while holding anger in your thoughts. You become what you think, and your thinking is your blueprint. A strong mind builds a strong life. A weak and distracted mind builds confusion. To take control of your thoughts, you must first become aware of them. Awareness is power. Notice the tone of your inner voice. Notice how often you say negative things to yourself that you would never say to another person. When you catch yourself doing it, stop and question it. Is it true? Is it helping you? If not, you have to choose better thoughts, because thoughts are choices, not habits. You are not your thoughts, you are the thinker behind them. That difference changes everything. When you start choosing your thoughts intentionally, you change your emotions, your energy, and your confidence. Think about this. When you focus on problems, you feel heavy. When you focus on progress, you feel strong. When you focus on what you can control, life feels lighter. That's not magic, that's psychology. Your thoughts drive your emotional state, and your emotions drive your actions. Control your thoughts, and you take back control of your life's direction. Success doesn't start with skill, it starts with mindset. Two people can be in the same situation, but one thinks opportunity, the other thinks struggle. The situation is the same, the difference is in the thinking. The one who believes there's something to learn, something to gain, finds a way. The one who believes it's hopeless gives up. That's how powerful thinking is. Your thoughts decide which doors you see and which ones you walk through. When you wake up each day, your first thoughts set the tone. If you begin your day thinking about everything wrong, you'll carry that mood with you. But if you begin by thinking of what's possible, what's in your control, what you're grateful for, you'll move through the day with purpose. You train your mind like you train your body. It grows stronger through daily practice. Every time you challenge a negative thought and replace it with something empowering, you're rewiring your mind for success. Some people say, "I can't help what I think." That's not true. You can't stop thoughts from showing up, but you can choose which ones to feed. It's like watching a channel. If you don't like what's on, change it. You don't have to sit there and watch something that makes you feel worse. The same goes for your mind. When fear comes in, notice it, but don't live there. When doubt shows up, acknowledge it, but don't give it power. Every time you redirect your focus, you build mental strength. Your thoughts are like the roots of a tree. What you plant grows quietly beneath the surface until it becomes visible in your actions, your habits, and your results. That's why you can't afford to think carelessly. Every thought is an instruction to your future. If you think small, you live small. If you think brave, you act brave. If you think growth, you'll grow. The outer life always follows the inner one. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing thoughts that help you face what's real without losing your power. When you face a problem, instead of saying, "I can't handle this," say, "I will find a way." That small shift in thought changes your behavior completely. You start looking for solutions instead of feeling helpless. That's what happens when you take control of your thinking. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. Many people live on autopilot. They think whatever comes to mind without realizing how it shapes their world. They spend years reinforcing old beliefs that tell them they're not capable, that things never work out, that other people get the breaks. But when you step back and question those beliefs, you begin to see they're not facts, they're just old thoughts, repeated so many times they started to feel true. The good news is, you can create new ones. Start by asking yourself powerful questions. What do I want to think today? What kind of person do I want to be? What would I think if I already had the life I want? Asking questions like this moves your mind from automatic to intentional. You start thinking from possibility instead of limitation. When you think that way often enough, it becomes natural. Controlling your thoughts doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means guiding them. Thoughts create feelings, and feelings guide action. So if you want to act better, feel better, and live better, begin with what's happening in your head. It's all connected. When you think you can grow, your brain starts finding ways to grow. When you think you can heal, you begin to heal. When you think you can improve, you take action. Sometimes people ask how to start changing their thoughts. Start small. Begin with awareness. Every time you notice a thought that brings you down, pause and replace it. Instead of, "I can't do this," say, "I'm learning how." Instead of, "This always goes wrong," say, "I can make it better this time." Those small shifts change how you feel and act. Over time, they change everything. It's not about forcing fake positivity, it's about building a mindset that serves you instead of breaking you. Imagine spending your days thinking thoughts that strengthen you instead of weaken you. Thoughts that remind you of what you can control, of how far you've come, of what's still possible. That kind of thinking doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you effective. You make better choices, take smarter risks, and stay steady under pressure. The mind is your foundation, and when it's strong, you can handle more than you ever thought possible. Take a moment each day to check your thinking. Ask yourself, is what I'm thinking helping me or hurting me? That question alone can redirect your entire day. You'll notice that most stress and frustration come not from the events themselves, but from how you think about them. Change the thought, and the feeling follows. You gain control where most people lose it, in the quiet space between what happens and how you respond. You are capable of building a stronger mind, one that doesn't fall apart when life gets tough, one that stays calm and focused when things go wrong. But it starts with mastering your thoughts. The person who learns to control their mind can control their destiny. The one who doesn't becomes a victim of circumstance. Everything depends on that simple daily choice to guide your thinking or to be guided by it. Every great achievement starts in someone's mind. Before success ever showed up in reality, it was first a thought that someone believed enough to act on. That's why controlling your thoughts is not optional, it's essential. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you'll never give it your best. If you think it's impossible, you'll never try. Your mind can be your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. So today, make it your mission to train your mind to work for you, not against you. Speak truth to yourself. Feed it goals, gratitude, and growth. Keep it focused on what matters. Protect it from negativity and comparison. Build it daily with learning, reflection, and discipline, because the quality of your mind decides the quality of your life. You become what you think. If you think peace, you'll find peace. If you think strength, you'll act strong. If you think growth, you'll keep growing. Life responds to your thoughts. Control them, and you control your future. The mind is everything, train it well, and it will build the life you've always wanted. Chapter 2. Choose beliefs that build strength. Beliefs are the roots of every action, emotion, and decision you make. They sit deep in your mind, quietly shaping the direction of your life. What you believe about yourself decides what you try, how you respond to failure, and how you see your future. Every human being builds a life that matches their strongest beliefs, whether those beliefs are empowering or limiting. You cannot rise higher than what you believe is possible for you. The good news is that beliefs are not fixed. They can be changed, rebuilt, and strengthened. The mind becomes what it believes, and those beliefs become the foundation of who you are. Most people never stop to question what they believe about themselves. They carry opinions they picked up years ago, words from parents, teachers, or friends that were never tested. A single sentence like, "You're not smart enough," or "You'll never make it," can turn into a lifelong belief if you repeat it long enough. The human mind treats repetition as truth. If you tell yourself something every day, your brain starts looking for evidence to prove it. That's why it's so important to build beliefs that give you strength instead of ones that hold you back. You can't think weak and live strong. The first step is to understand what beliefs are running your life. They're not always loud. Sometimes they hide in quiet thoughts like, "I don't deserve better," or "People like me never win." They're small, but they control everything. Take a moment to look at your patterns. What do you tell yourself when you fail? What do you say when someone compliments you? Do you reject it or accept it? That reaction reveals what you truly believe about your worth. Awareness opens the door to change. Once you see the beliefs that weaken you, don't fight them, replace them. Fighting keeps them alive. Replacement rewires your mind. Begin to build beliefs that match the life you want. If you want strength, believe that you can grow stronger every day. If you want peace, believe that you have the power to stay calm even when life gets hard. Beliefs are like internal rules. They decide what's possible for you. Rewrite those rules one by one until they serve your growth instead of your fear. Building strong beliefs takes consistency. You can't just say it once and expect it to stick. You must feed your mind every day with proof that your new belief is real. When you act on it, even in small ways, your brain begins to accept it as truth. For example, if you want to believe that you are confident, don't wait to feel confident. Speak clearly in a conversation, stand tall, and hold eye contact. Every small action becomes evidence that reinforces your new belief. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for, it's a belief you build through repetition and proof. Human beings grow in the direction of their strongest belief. If you believe you can improve, you'll find ways to do it. If you believe you're stuck, your mind will close to new possibilities. It's not the world that limits you most of the time, it's your belief about the world. Strong beliefs are not built from fantasy, they are built from courage. It takes courage to believe in yourself when results haven't shown up yet. But that's where true strength begins. Every person who changed their life started by believing something new before it was visible. It's easy to believe when everything goes right. The challenge is to keep believing when nothing goes your way. That's when your mind is tested. Strong beliefs aren't formed in comfort, they're formed in challenge. When you fail, your mind will whisper, "See, you can't do it." That's when you must choose a stronger belief. Tell yourself, this is just feedback, not a final result. What matters most is what you tell yourself right after you fall. That moment decides whether you rise or stay down. Strength comes from the thoughts you repeat when you're tired, not when you're excited. You can't borrow beliefs from other people. You can learn from them, but your mind must accept them through your own experience. If someone tells you you're capable, that's good, but if you don't believe it, it won't change your life. You must prove it to yourself through action. Every step you take builds evidence. Belief grows stronger through personal experience, not just words. So, take one step, even if it's small. Every win, every effort, every moment of progress adds another layer of belief that says, "I can do this." There's a simple truth in human psychology. What the mind expects, the body follows. When you believe you can handle stress, your brain sends signals that calm the body. When you believe you're safe, your system relaxes. When you believe you're in control, your actions become steady. The mind leads, the body follows. That's why beliefs are not just mental, they affect your physical energy, your tone of voice, your confidence in a room, and your ability to stay grounded. You can feel belief, it changes your presence. To choose beliefs that build strength, you must challenge the ones that weaken you. If you believe you're unlucky, ask yourself, is that always true? Look for times when things worked out. You'll find evidence that your old belief wasn't a fact, it was just a filter. The brain looks for what you tell it to see. If you believe life is unfair, you'll notice unfairness everywhere. If you believe life has opportunities, you'll start spotting them in small details. Both kinds of people live in the same world. Their beliefs decide what they see. Strong beliefs are realistic but empowering. They don't deny the difficulty of life. They remind you that you can handle it. They say, yes, this is hard, but I've faced hard things before. They keep you balanced. Weak beliefs crumble under stress. Strong ones carry you through it. Every person who achieves lasting growth holds on to one central belief, that they are capable of learning and improving no matter what happens. That belief turns setbacks into steps forward. It's important to understand that beliefs are not just thoughts, they are feelings you've accepted as truth. That's why it's hard to change them quickly. You can't just think your way out. You must feel your way into a new belief by creating real experiences that prove it. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength. Spend time in environments that reflect growth and possibility. The mind absorbs energy from what it sees and hears daily. If your surroundings are filled with doubt, your beliefs weaken. If your surroundings encourage growth, your beliefs strengthen naturally. Beliefs are contagious. If you spend time around people who constantly speak of what they can't do, you'll begin to think the same. But if you spend time with those who talk about what they're learning, building, and becoming, your own belief system rises. That's why it's essential to protect your mental space. What you listen to, watch, and repeat becomes your mental diet. Feed your mind the thoughts that nourish strength. The world is already filled with doubt, you don't need to add your own to it. Every time you say, I can't, your mind stops searching. But when you say, I'll find a way, your brain activates creativity. That's the psychology of belief. It either opens or closes the mind. The words you use become signals to your subconscious, guiding how you think and act. That's why changing your language is one of the fastest ways to change your belief. Instead of saying, I always fail, say, I'm learning what doesn't work. Instead of, I'm bad at this, say, I'm improving every time. Your words teach your brain what to believe. There will always be moments when your old beliefs try to return. They'll whisper reminders of fear and past pain. That's normal. But remember, thoughts lose power when you stop believing them. When you recognize an old belief that no longer serves you, see it for what it is, a thought that used to protect you, but no longer fits the person you're becoming. Thank it, release it, and replace it. You can't erase your past, but you can outgrow it by choosing beliefs that make you stronger today. True strength is quiet. It doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from knowing who you are and what you believe in, even when life gets noisy. It's the calm confidence that comes from saying, I trust myself to handle whatever comes. That kind of belief cannot be bought or faked. It's built one decision at a time. Every time you choose faith over fear, patience over panic, growth over giving up, you are reinforcing the belief that you are capable. Over time, that belief becomes unshakable. When you control your beliefs, you don't need external approval to feel strong. You start operating from the inside out. You no longer need others to remind you of your worth, you already know it. You stop chasing validation because your confidence comes from what you've proven to yourself. That's real freedom. That's mental strength at its highest level. The world becomes less about proving and more about growing. Each day is another chance to build your beliefs stronger than they were yesterday. You won't get it right every time, but that's not the goal. The goal is progress. The goal is to live with more awareness, more courage, and more truth in how you see yourself. The mind is everything, and the beliefs you choose are the architects of your future. Choose ones that lift you. Choose ones that remind you of your power. Choose beliefs that help you grow through life, not shrink from it. Because what you believe is what you become, And when your beliefs are strong, your life becomes strong too. Chapter 3. Train mind to see possibility. The human mind is powerful, yet it's naturally drawn toward what's wrong, what's missing, or what might go wrong next. This habit is not weakness, it's survival instinct. The brain evolved to notice threats faster than opportunities. But the truth is, in the modern world, this instinct can hold you back more than it protects you. To grow, succeed, and live with peace, you must train your mind to see possibility instead of limitation. The world you live in is shaped by what your mind focuses on. When you train it to see what can be done instead of what can't, you unlock a kind of strength that changes everything. Most people live in a pattern of mental reaction. They see a challenge, and their first thought is, "This is too much." They face rejection and instantly assume, "I'm not good enough." They meet failure and decide, "Maybe I should stop." These are automatic responses that come from years of focusing on the negative. The mind has learned to expect the worst. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. The good news is, you can retrain that. You can teach your brain to look for openings instead of obstacles. You can recondition it to ask, "What can I learn here?" instead of "Why did this happen to me?" Possibility thinking doesn't ignore reality. It doesn't pretend everything is perfect. It simply asks better questions. It's about shifting your focus from the problem to the path. When something goes wrong, your mind can either shut down or open up. The difference is practice. A trained mind knows that every situation, no matter how hard, contains a chance to grow, learn, or improve something. The untrained mind only sees loss. When you start teaching yourself to look for what's possible, life begins to reveal more options than you ever noticed before. Every opportunity begins with a thought. The people who build great things aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They just see what others overlook. When everyone else focuses on reasons something won't work, they're busy looking for one way it could. That's the power of possibility. It doesn't guarantee success, but it keeps you in motion, and motion is where progress lives. The more you practice seeing possibility, the more your brain begins to connect ideas, notice patterns, and generate solutions on its own. You train it to work for you instead of against you. Training your mind to see possibility starts with awareness. Pay attention to your automatic reaction. Notice when your first thought leans toward fear or doubt. Don't judge it, just observe it. Then gently redirect it. Ask yourself, is there another way to see this? What could I do differently here? Or, what might this teach me? These questions open mental doors that negativity keeps closed. Every time you ask them, you're strengthening the muscle of perspective. Over time, this becomes second nature. You'll start noticing solutions faster than you notice setbacks. People who see possibility are not blind to difficulty. They're just unwilling to stop there. They know that every limitation is temporary if they stay curious. Curiosity is the heart of a strong mind. It keeps you exploring, learning, and improving. When you face something new, instead of saying, "I don't know how," say, "I can learn." That simple shift changes how your brain processes information. It moves from shutdown to engagement. The moment you believe there's a way forward, your brain begins searching for it. You've probably met people who see opportunity in everything. They're not unrealistic, they're trained. They've built the habit of asking, "What can be done?" while others complain about what can't. This mindset turns ordinary moments into chances for growth. It's why some people succeed despite facing more obstacles than others. They've developed a vision that looks past the immediate problem and focuses on what can emerge from it. Every problem carries potential, but you'll never find it if you're focused only on what's missing. Think about how you interpret failure. Most people see it as a wall, but a trained mind sees it as feedback. It asks, "What didn't work, and how can I improve next time?" That small change in interpretation transforms your energy. Instead of frustration, you feel curiosity. Instead of quitting, you adjust. That's how progress happens. You build resilience, confidence and wisdom by constantly turning experiences into lessons. Every lesson expands your capacity to see more possibilities in the future. The mind learns through repetition. If you constantly expose it to negativity, it becomes efficient at spotting what's wrong. But if you consistently feed it possibility, it learns to look for what's right. This isn't about blind optimism, it's about mental conditioning. What you focus on grows stronger. If you wake up every day thinking about what could go wrong, you train your nervous system to expect stress. But if you start the day by asking, what can I make better today, you train it to expect opportunity. Over time, this rewires your entire emotional state. To train your mind effectively, you need structure. One powerful exercise is reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? What could I learn? What can I do better tomorrow? This trains your brain to review your day through the lens of growth rather than regret. It helps you identify progress instead of perfection. It keeps your attention on improvement, and that mindset builds momentum. People who reflect regularly grow faster because they're always learning from their own experiences. Another practice is visualization. Imagine yourself facing a challenge successfully. Picture the steps, the calm, the problem solving. This mental rehearsal trains your brain to recognize possibility before the moment even arrives. When the real challenge comes, you'll feel prepared, not panicked. Athletes, leaders and high performers all use this technique because it strengthens neural pathways associated with success. The more vividly you imagine positive outcomes, the more confident and capable you become in real situations. You can also train your mind through the company you keep. Surround yourself with people who see solutions instead of excuses. Their energy will influence yours. If you spend time around constant complainers, your mind begins to adopt their limitation. But if you spend time around people who talk about ideas, goals and improvements, your thinking expands. Environment matters. The energy of possibility is contagious. It lifts you to a higher level of awareness and action. A mind trained for possibility doesn't deny fear. It uses it as data. Fear simply points to what matters to you. When you learn to see it that way, you stop running from it and start learning from it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to tell me? Often it's a signal that you care deeply about something. Instead of letting it stop you, let it guide you. The strongest people in the world still feel fear. They just interpret it differently. They use it as motivation instead of a warning to quit. The human mind thrives on meaning. When you attach a sense of purpose to your challenges, they stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like preparation. You begin to see setbacks as part of the process, not signs of failure. This is how you keep hope alive even in difficult times. Possibility thinking doesn't come from denying pain. It comes from understanding it. Pain becomes fuel when you believe it's shaping you into someone stronger. One of the biggest obstacles to seeing possibility is comparison. When you constantly measure yourself against others, you blind yourself to your own growth. A trained mind doesn't compete with people, it competes with its own past. It asks, am I better than I was yesterday? That question keeps you focused on personal progress. Comparison creates scarcity thinking, but self-improvement creates abundance. When you focus on your own lane, you see endless room to grow. Another powerful way to train your mind is through gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's working. It opens your awareness to abundance, and that state of awareness breeds creativity. When you feel grateful, your brain releases chemicals that reduce stress and increase clarity. From that clarity, new ideas appear. You start to see opportunities where before you saw obstacles. Gratitude is not just an emotion. It's a tool for expanding perception. Over time, possibility thinking changes how you handle challenges. Instead of reacting with frustration, you pause, you analyze, you adapt, you start asking questions that lead to solutions instead of problems. You stop wasting energy on what you can't change and use it to build what you can. That's when growth becomes constant. You don't wait for motivation. You create it through your focus. You don't need the world to change. You change how you see it. There's a quiet power that comes from living with a mind that sees possibilities everywhere.
It gives you patience when results take time. It gives you resilience when things fall apart. It helps you trust yourself, even when the path ahead isn't clear. You start to believe that every difficulty carries a lesson, and every delay hides a reason. That belief keeps you calm, centered, and determined. You no longer need everything to be easy, you just need it to be meaningful. The key is practice. Just like training a muscle, your mind grows through consistent effort. The more you practice seeing possibility, the faster it becomes natural. Soon you'll notice you're handling situations differently. Where you once saw problems, you now see choices. Where you once felt overwhelmed, you now feel capable. That's not luck. That's the reward of mental training. A strong mind doesn't eliminate struggle. It transforms how you face it. When you train your mind to see possibility, you open yourself to growth that never stops. You start living from creation instead of reaction. You no longer wait for things to change. You start changing things yourself. You find freedom in the simple truth that there's always something you can do, something you can learn, and something you can become. That mindset builds unshakable confidence, the kind that stays steady through every season of life. You don't need a perfect life to feel powerful. You need a trained mind. A mind that sees possibility and failure, opportunity and challenge, and lessons in pain. Every great transformation begins with one decision: to focus on what's possible instead of what's missing. The moment you make that choice, your world begins to expand. The limits you thought were real start to fade, and you begin to live with vision, strength, and purpose. The mind is everything. And when it's trained to see possibility, there is no limit to what you can become.
Chapter 4. Replace doubt with clear focus. Doubt is the quiet voice that tries to pull you away from progress. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you to wait, to slow down, to second guess. It plants hesitation in the space where clarity should live. Every person who's ever achieved something great has faced that voice. But what separates the ones who move forward from the ones who stop is how they deal with it. You can't erase doubt entirely, but you can replace it with clear focus, consistent direction, and a mind trained to move with purpose instead of fear. When you begin anything new, doubt often arrives first. It questions your ability, your timing, your potential. It reminds you of the times you've failed and tells you this time won't be different. That's how doubt works. It thrives on the past and hides in uncertainty. But here's the truth. Doubt isn't the problem. The real problem is allowing it to take control of your focus. Focus is power. When your mind is focused, it cuts through confusion, filters out noise, and brings your energy into one direction. Without focus, even the strongest talent becomes scattered and weak. With focus, even an ordinary effort becomes extraordinary. Clarity begins with deciding what matters most. When you know what you want, you naturally start to ignore what doesn't. That's how focus builds itself. But most people try to move forward while carrying every possible worry. They want to achieve success while thinking about failure. They want to grow while doubting their worth. That split focus drains energy and leaves you stuck in the middle, too afraid to stop, but too uncertain to go all in. Replacing doubt starts with committing to a clear vision, one that doesn't change every time fear shows up. Your mind can't hold two dominant thoughts at once. It can't fully believe and fully doubt at the same time. One will always win. When you direct your thoughts toward clarity, when you remind yourself why you started, what you want, and who you're becoming, you take power away from doubt. Doubt feeds on confusion. Clarity starves it. The clearer your goal, the quieter your fear becomes. That's why some people seem fearless. They're not immune to doubt. They just stay so focused that doubt never gets room to grow. To build clear focus, you must understand your priorities. Ask yourself, what deserves my full attention today? Not what's urgent, but what truly matters. Many people confuse activity with progress. They move constantly, but never get closer to their goal because they're focused on everything at once. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters with precision. When you align your thoughts with a clear purpose, your actions gain direction, and your energy multiplies.
Doubt thrives in uncertainty, so clarity must be intentional. You can't wait for it, you create it. You do that by setting specific goals, writing them down, and reviewing them daily. The human mind needs reminders. Without them, it drifts back into distraction. When your goals are written and visible, they act as a compass. They pull you back to what's important every time you get lost in overthinking. Clarity is not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. One reason doubt feels so strong is because it hides behind logic. It sounds reasonable. It says, what if it doesn't work, or what if you're not ready? Those sound like responsible questions, but they lead nowhere. Clear focus replaces those questions with better ones. What's one thing I can do today to make it work? What can I learn to become ready? When your questions shift from fear to action, you stop feeding doubt and start fueling progress. There's something powerful about taking one step at a time. Most doubt comes from looking too far ahead. You see the mountain instead of the next step. The mind gets overwhelmed and begins to doubt. But when you focus on what's right in front of you, on what you can do today, you build momentum. Every small victory strengthens belief. Momentum is the enemy of doubt. Once you start moving, your focus grows stronger, and fear starts to lose its grip. Clear focus also comes from simplifying your environment. The more distractions you have, the easier it is for doubt to creep in. Clean your space, reduce mental noise, and remove unnecessary decisions. Decision fatigue feeds uncertainty. When you free your mind from small, meaningless choices, you create room for clarity. A focused life is not built by doing everything. It's built by protecting your attention from everything that doesn't matter. Sometimes focus requires saying no to opportunities, to people, to habits that don't align with your direction. Every no to distraction is a yes to progress. The clearer your focus, the easier these decisions become. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your time, because you know what you're working toward. People who lack clarity often chase everything because they don't know what truly matters. Those with focus move slower, but they move deliberately, and they reach farther. Doubt doesn't disappear when you get clarity, it just loses influence. It becomes background noise instead of a command. You acknowledge it, but don't obey it. The difference between successful and frustrated people is not the absence of doubt, it's the ability to move forward despite it. Clear focus gives you that power. It grounds you in purpose, so that no amount of uncertainty can pull you off track. One of the strongest ways to build focus is through repetition. Remind yourself daily of your purpose. Read your goals every morning and every night. Speak them out loud. The brain learns through repetition. If you repeat fear, you'll live in fear. If you repeat purpose, you'll live with direction. Over time, your mind becomes conditioned to stay centered on what matters most. That's how focus becomes natural. It's trained, not gifted. Visualization strengthens focus. Close your eyes and see yourself completing the goal. Feel the satisfaction, the confidence, the calm. The more clearly you imagine the result, the stronger your belief becomes. Doubt fades when the mind has a clear picture of success. It's hard to fear what you can already see. Visualization doesn't replace effort, it aligns your mind so your effort becomes sharper. Every athlete, leader, and performer uses it because it trains the brain to expect success. Expectation directs behavior. Clear focus also comes from purpose-driven action. You can think positively all day, but if you don't act, your mind starts doubting again. Action builds certainty. Every task completed adds proof that your direction is right. Every time you follow through, your brain records that evidence. Over time, it starts trusting you. That trust is powerful. It's the foundation of confidence. Doubt loses strength when your actions and words align consistently. Many people lose focus because they chase perfection. They want to be flawless before they begin. But perfection is just another form of doubt wearing a mask of high standard. It tells you to delay, to overthink, to wait for the perfect time. Clear focus removes that pressure. It says, start now, learn as you go. That approach builds progress faster than endless preparation ever could. You can always adjust the path, but you can't adjust a journey that never starts. Clarity isn't a mood, it's a practice. You won't always feel certain. There will be days when your direction feels blurred, and your motivation fades. That's when discipline matters most. Focus is not about excitement, it's about consistency. It's showing up even when your emotions tell you to stop. When you keep going on those days, you strengthen mental discipline. And your doubt starts realizing it no longer controls your action. Another key to replacing doubt is learning how to manage your internal dialogue. Listen to the words you use with yourself. When you catch thoughts like "I might fail," replace them with "I'll find a way." Your brain follows your language. Words are not just descriptions, they're commands to your subconscious. Speak with clarity and conviction. Over time, your inner voice becomes your greatest ally instead of your harshest critic. Focus grows stronger when you take care of your energy. Nutrition and physical movement directly affect mental clarity. A tired mind is a doubtful mind. When you're exhausted, your brain seeks safety and avoids challenge. Take care of your body, and your focus sharpens naturally. Small routines like morning exercise, deep breathing, or quiet reflection give you the mental stability to handle stress without losing direction. To maintain focus in a noisy world, practice stillness. Silence is not emptiness, it's awareness. Take a few minutes daily to sit without distraction. Let thoughts come and go. This simple act teaches your mind not to chase every impulse. It builds patience, and patience strengthens focus. The more comfortable you become with stillness, the less control doubt has over you. Doubt thrives in chaos, but weakens in calm. Remember, focus isn't about controlling everything, it's about controlling attention. You can't stop challenges from coming, but you can choose where your energy goes. Focus on what you can influence. Focus on the next step. Focus on improvement, not perfection. When you live that way, progress becomes steady. You stop waiting for confidence to arrive, you build it through clarity. There's a deep peace that comes when your mind is clear. You wake up knowing what matters. You move through your day with purpose. You stop wasting energy on what others think, or what could go wrong. You start building instead of worrying. Doubt can visit, but it can't stay. You've given your mind something stronger to hold, a clear, steady direction. The people who accomplish the most are not the ones who never question themselves. They're the ones who replace questioning with action, fear with focus, and hesitation with clarity. They've learned that the mind follows the path it's given. When you fill that path with purpose, doubt has nowhere to go. Every time you choose focus over fear, you train your mind to trust you a little more. Every time you stay committed, despite uncertainty, you become stronger. Replace doubt with clear focus, and you'll discover something remarkable. Life begins to respond. Opportunity-aligned people respect your certainty. Progress feels natural. You realize that you were never waiting for motivation. You were waiting for direction. And when your direction is clear, your potential becomes limitless.
Chapter 5. Think, growth, live with purpose. Growth is not a destination, it is a way of living. It's the decision to keep evolving, to keep learning, and to keep moving forward, no matter what life brings. To think growth and live with purpose means to wake up each day with a clear understanding that you are here for more than survival, you are here for expansion. Every day is a new opportunity to stretch your mind, strengthen your character, and bring meaning to everything you do. Growth gives life direction, and purpose gives it depth. Without them, you may exist, but you don't truly live. The moment you decide to grow, you begin to separate yourself from the ordinary. Most people live on repeat. They wake up, go through the same motions, and never question if they're becoming better or just staying busy. Growth requires awareness. It asks you to stop and reflect. Am I improving, or am I just moving? That question alone can change your life. When you begin to think in terms of growth, every experience, good or bad, becomes an opportunity to get stronger, wiser, and more capable.
Nothing is wasted, because everything teaches you something. Purpose gives that growth direction. Without purpose, even progress can feel empty. You might achieve success, but still feel lost, because it doesn't mean anything to you. Purpose is not found by accident, it's built through choices. It's built when you align your actions with your values, when you do things that make a difference, when you live by principles that reflect who you truly are. Living with purpose means you no longer chase everything that looks good, you pursue what feels right, and what contributes to your growth and the growth of others. Thinking growth begins in the mind. It's the belief that you can always become better. It's the mindset that says, I am not finished yet. People who think growth don't fear change. They use it. They see every challenge as a chance to upgrade their skills, expand their understanding, and improve their perspective. Growth-minded people ask, what can I learn from this? While fixed-minded people say, why is this happening to me? The difference between the two determines whether life breaks you or builds you. The truth is, growth often comes disguised as struggle. The situations that feel uncomfortable are the ones that stretch you the most. When you face pressure, you discover parts of yourself that comfort could never show you. Growth requires patience. It doesn't happen overnight. You build it through repetition, through consistency, through showing up even when motivation fades. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small improvement counts, because over time, it becomes transformation. To live with purpose, you must know what truly matters to you. Many people chase goals that don't belong to them, dreams inherited from parents, peers, or society. They work hard, achieve, and still feel empty because they never asked, is this what I really want? Purpose begins when you start listening to your own voice. It's about identifying what makes you come alive, what you're willing to struggle for, and what brings meaning to your days. When you connect your growth to your purpose, your life gains direction. You stop drifting and start driving. Growth and purpose complement each other. Growth gives you the ability to handle more, and purpose gives you a reason to do so. Without growth, purpose stagnates. Without purpose, growth loses meaning. Together, they create momentum that can carry you through any season of life. The mind that is focused on growth doesn't fear failure because it knows every failure carries a lesson. The person living with purpose doesn't give up easily because their reason for trying is bigger than the pain of falling. Living this way requires self-honesty. You must be willing to look at your weaknesses without judgment. Growth doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from recognizing where you need to improve and committing to it. It's humbling, but it's freeing. When you stop hiding from your flaws, you can start fixing them. You become stronger not by avoiding mistakes, but by learning from them. That's what growth-minded living is about, turning self-awareness into self-improvement. A life built on growth and purpose has clarity. You no longer wake up wondering what to do. You wake up knowing why you're doing it. Your days have meaning. Even when things go wrong, you don't lose yourself because you know where you're heading. Purpose acts like an internal compass, guiding you through uncertainty. Growth acts like the engine that keeps you moving forward. The combination creates resilience, and resilience is what separates the fulfilled from the frustrated. It's easy to get distracted in a world that rewards speed and comparison. Everyone wants quick success, but true growth requires time. Growth is quiet work. It happens in the background, through small daily actions that compound over years. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. If you stay consistent long enough, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Purpose keeps you patient through that process. When you know why you're growing, you stop rushing and start trusting. To think growth means to take responsibility for your development. No one can do your growing for you. You can have mentors, support, and guidance, but the work of improving your mind and building your habits belongs to you. Every time you learn something new, every time you step outside your comfort zone, You're shaping the person you're becoming. Growth is not measured by how much you have, it's measured by how much you've evolved. To live with purpose means to serve something bigger than yourself. It could be your family, your community, your craft, or your principles. Purpose is what makes effort meaningful. It's what keeps you going when there's no applause. People who live with purpose don't need constant motivation, they have drive. Their direction comes from the inside. They understand that fulfillment doesn't come from comfort, but from contribution. Sometimes, growth and purpose require letting go. You may need to release old beliefs, old habits, or even old relationships that no longer support your direction. Change can be painful, but staying stuck is worth. The mind that thinks growth learns to detach from what no longer serves its future. You begin to value peace over approval, learning over pride, and progress over perfection. This shift brings freedom. The freedom to become who you're meant to be. Living with purpose doesn't mean every day feels exciting. Some days are repetitive, difficult, or uncertain. But when your life is anchored in purpose, even those days have meaning. You see them as part of the larger picture. Growth is built during the quiet seasons, when you keep going despite boredom or doubt. That's where character forms. That's where discipline becomes strength. To think growth means to challenge comfort. It's easy to stay where things are familiar. But growth requires stepping into the unknown. The mind resists change because it craves safety. But nothing new happens in safety. Every time you push beyond what you thought you could do, you expand your limits. That expansion becomes confidence. And confidence, built through growth, gives you the courage to pursue even bigger goals. Living with purpose is not about chasing perfection. It's about living intentionally. It's about doing your best in each moment, and knowing that every step matters. You don't need to have your entire future figured out, you just need to know your direction, and take one step toward it each day. Over time, those steps add up to a meaningful life. The person who moves with purpose never wastes motion. Every action is aligned with intention. Growth also involves gratitude. When you're grateful, you see progress, even in small things. Gratitude keeps your perspective balanced. It reminds you that while you're striving for more, you already have enough to be proud of. A grateful mind grows faster, because it's not focused on lack, it's focused on abundance. Gratitude turns frustration into patience, and effort into joy. It's one of the simplest and most powerful ways to stay aligned with purpose. Purpose-driven growth also requires discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it's the structure that keeps you aligned when emotions waver. Motivation starts the journey, but discipline sustains it. When you act with discipline, you prove to yourself that your goals matter. Every time you follow through, your belief in yourself grows stronger. That belief fuels purpose, and purpose fuels more growth. It becomes a cycle that feeds itself. There will be moments when you feel lost or unsure of your purpose. That's normal. Purpose is not something you find once, it's something you refine as you grow. What matters most is staying curious. Keep asking, what makes me feel alive, and what can I give? The answers evolve with you. Growth and purpose are not static, they evolve as you do. That's why lifelong learning is essential. The more you grow, the clearer your purpose becomes. To live with purpose means to care deeply. It means putting your heart into your work, your relationships, and your journey. It means doing things with integrity, even when no one is watching. Purpose transforms ordinary actions into meaningful contributions. It gives life a sense of wholeness. When your actions match your values, you feel at peace. That peace is what most people spend their lives searching for. When you combine growth and purpose, your life becomes a continuous journey of becoming. Not competing, not proving, but evolving. You stop asking, when will I arrive? Because you realize the process itself is the reward. Growth gives you strength. Purpose gives you direction. Together, they build a life that feels rich, not because of what you have, but because of who you're becoming. In the end, to think growth and live with purpose is to live awake. It's to stop existing on autopilot and start living with intention. It's to treat every moment as a chance to learn, every challenge as a teacher, and every day as a step toward becoming more than you were yesterday. Growth is the path, purpose is the reason, and when you live with both, you don't just survive, you rise.
Chapter 6. Feed mind only empowering thoughts. The mind is always hungry, always searching for what to feed on. It never stays empty. It either consumes empowering thoughts that build you or destructive ones that drain you. The quality of your life is deeply tied to the quality of what you feed your mind. Every word you hear, every image you see, and every thought you repeat becomes mental nutrition. If you fill your mind with doubt, negativity, and fear, that's what you'll live out. But if you fill it with ideas that lift you, challenge you, and remind you of your strength, your life begins to transform. Feeding your mind empowering thoughts doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to focus on what strengthens you rather than what weakens you. Life is full of uncertainty, setbacks, and opinions. You can't always control what happens, but you can control what stays in your head. When you decide to feed your mind strength, hope, and courage, you take control of the only space that truly belongs to you, your inner world. Every day, your mind collects information like a sponge. Conversations, news, social media, songs, and even casual thoughts leave imprints. Most people don't filter what they take in. They let the world feed their mind whatever it offers: fear-based headlines, gossip, comparison, and complaints. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, uninspired, and stuck. The truth is, your mental diet works exactly like your physical one. You can't expect a healthy body if you feed it junk, and you can't expect a strong mind if you feed it negativity. Empowering thoughts don't appear by accident. They must be chosen. They come from awareness. Start by noticing what occupies your thoughts most of the day. Are you focused on what's missing or what's possible? Do you replay mistakes or plan improvement? Awareness reveals the pattern, and once you see it, you can change it. Every time you catch yourself thinking something that limits you, pause and replace it with something that moves you forward. Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," say, "I'll find a way." That small shift changes your energy instantly. Your mind becomes what it practices daily. If you constantly think about fear, you train your brain to expect fear. If you focus on opportunity, your brain starts scanning for it automatically. The mind follows habit, not intention. That's why daily mental nutrition is essential. Reading something positive each morning, listening to empowering voices, or reflecting on what you're grateful for are all forms of feeding your mind. These small habits protect your mindset from the negativity that tries to creep in. The world around you will always offer doubt. It will remind you of what's wrong, of what could fail, and of why you should settle. That's why you must be your own source of encouragement. Speak to yourself the way a mentor would. When challenges appear, remind yourself of your past victory. When mistakes happen, tell yourself they're lessons, not limits. The words you use with yourself matter more than the words anyone else says. You hear your own voice more than any other, so train it to empower, not to discourage. There's power in repetition. A single positive thought can inspire you for a moment, but repeated empowering thoughts build a foundation. If you constantly remind yourself that you're capable, your mind begins to accept it as fact. The brain learns through consistency. It doesn't believe what you say once, it believes what you say daily. That's why affirmations work when practiced with emotion and truth. They're not magic, they're training. Each repetition rewires the brain towards strength instead of fear. To feed your mind well, you must also be careful about your environment. People are like mirrors, they reflect the kind of thoughts they live with. Spend time around complainers, and you'll start thinking in complaints. Spend time around builders, and your thoughts become creative and productive. Protecting your mind doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means surrounding yourself with influence that fuels your growth. Every conversation either adds to your mindset or takes from it.
Be intentional about who and what you allow in. Empowering thoughts come from clarity. When you know who you are and what you're working toward, your thoughts align with purpose. Confusion creates chaos in the mind, but clarity filters out distractions. When you have a goal that matters deeply to you, your thoughts naturally become sharper and more directed. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't align with your values. The more purpose you bring into your thinking, the stronger your focus becomes, and the easier it is to resist negativity. You can strengthen your mental diet by developing the habit of gratitude. Gratitude shifts attention from what's missing to what's working. When you appreciate progress, your mind becomes more positive and creative. Gratitude trains your brain to notice good things, which then builds resilience. A grateful mind can't stay fearful for long because it's focused on abundance instead of lack. Start and end your day by listing what you're thankful for. It sounds simple, but it reprograms the brain to expect goodness and to handle challenges with calm. Another key to feeding your mind empowering thoughts is to learn continuously. Growth fuels positivity. When you learn something new, your brain releases energy and curiosity. Knowledge gives you confidence, and confidence weakens fear. Read books that inspire, listen to people who challenge you to think deeper, and expose yourself to ideas that expand your understanding. A mind that keeps learning never runs out of motivation. It stays alive, alert, and optimistic, because it sees more options in every situation. Empowering thoughts also come from action. You can think positively all day, but if you don't act, your mind begins to doubt your words. The brain needs evidence to reinforce belief. When you take small actions toward your goals, you feed your mind proof that you're capable. That proof becomes motivation, which turns into momentum. The more you act, the more your thoughts align with possibility. Empowering thoughts grow stronger when backed by experience. Silence can also be nourishment for the mind. In a world of constant noise, stillness allows your thoughts to reset. Spend a few minutes each day in quiet reflection. Breathe, observe, and listen to what's happening inside. This stillness helps you separate empowering thoughts from noise. It teaches you to recognize which thoughts come from truth and which come from fear. The more time you spend in calm awareness, the more control you have over your thinking. Feeding your mind with empowering thoughts is not about ignoring pain, it's about directing. Every hardship can serve a purpose if you choose to think in terms of growth. When life gets difficult, instead of saying, "This is too much," ask, "What is this teaching me?" That simple question transforms frustration into strength. You stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as teachers. That's how mentally strong people think. They use every experience, even painful ones, as material for growth. The information you consume also plays a huge role in shaping your thought. Be selective about what you read, watch, and listen to. The media thrives on fear because fear sells. If you constantly expose your mind to negativity, you'll feel anxious without knowing why. Replace mindless scrolling with mindful learning. Choose content that uplifts, educates, and reminds you of your potential. The energy you give attention to becomes the energy you live in. Self-talk is another form of mental feeding. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself in private moments. Do you criticize yourself for small mistakes, or do you encourage yourself to try again? Self-compassion is not weakness, it's strength. It allows you to grow without guilt. When your inner voice becomes kind, your outer life begins to reflect that kindness. Empowering thoughts are built through acceptance, not punishment. The more you support yourself mentally, the more confident and peaceful you become. You must also understand that empowering thoughts don't eliminate negativity completely. They simply make it powerless. Doubt, fear, and frustration will always appear. But when your mind is well fed, they don't control your behavior. A strong mind feels the emotion, acknowledges it, and then chooses a better thought. That's what mental mastery looks like. Not perfection, but awareness and choice. You always have the power to decide which thought wins. One practical way to feed your mind better is through reflection journaling. Write down your thoughts each night and review them. Notice which ones serve your goals and which ones drain you. Replace the unhelpful ones with empowering statements. This process builds emotional clarity. When your thoughts are on paper, you can see patterns that you couldn't see in your head. Reflection turns confusion into understanding and understanding into progress. Another powerful technique is visualization, combined with emotion. When you picture yourself succeeding and feel the pride, peace and fulfillment of that moment, your brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. It starts believing what you see. That belief becomes a new thought pattern. Visualization isn't fantasy, it's practice for the mind. The more clearly you see yourself thriving, the easier it becomes to live that way. Feeding your mind empowering thoughts also means protecting your energy from unnecessary negativity. Don't engage in gossip, arguments, or complaints that lead nowhere. Every negative conversation drains mental energy. Choose silence over drama. Choose peace over conflict. Every time you protect your focus, you're feeding your mind stability. Peace is powerful nourishment. It gives clarity, and clarity leads to better thinking. There's freedom in realizing that you are the gatekeeper of your thoughts. No one can control what you allow inside your mind, unless you let them. You can choose what to focus on, what to believe, and what to repeat. That choice is your greatest power. If you build a habit of feeding your mind empowering ideas, your life will reflect it in every area. Your health, relationships, career, and inner peace. A well-fed mind doesn't crumble under pressure. It sees beyond the chaos and finds solutions. It recovers faster from failure. It stays hopeful in uncertainty. It's not that life becomes easier, it's that your thinking becomes stronger. When your thoughts empower you, your emotions stabilize, and your actions become intentional. That is how real success begins. Not from outside achievement, but from internal alignment. So feed your mind with thoughts that remind you of who you can be. Feed it with hope, wisdom, gratitude, and courage. Feed it through good books, honest reflection, meaningful conversations, and disciplined habits. Every choice you make is a meal for your mind. Choose the ones that make you stronger. Because the truth is simple. You become what you feed your mind. If you feed it weakness, you'll live small. But if you feed it strength, you'll live free.
Chapter 7. Observe thinking change your actions. Every change in life begins with a moment of awareness. You cannot change what you don't notice. The reason so many people stay stuck in the same habits and patterns year after year is not because they lack ability, it's because they don't see what's happening inside their own minds. The real transformation starts when you begin to observe your thinking. When you pay attention to your thoughts, you start to understand why you act the way you do. Your thoughts create your feelings influence your behavior, and your behavior shapes your reality. If you want to change your actions, you must begin by watching your thoughts with clarity and honesty. Most people live on autopilot. They react without thinking, speak without awareness, and make decisions from old mental patterns formed long ago. They repeat behaviors that don't serve them because they never stop to ask, why do I do this? But once you start observing your thinking, you create space between your thoughts and your actions. That space gives you choice, the power to respond instead of react. It's one of the most powerful skills you can ever develop, because it gives you control over your direction instead of being controlled by your impulses. Observation means becoming the watcher of your mind. You don't need to judge or analyze right away, just notice. Notice what kind of thoughts show up when you wake up. Notice how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. Notice what happens in your mind when someone criticizes you or when you make a mistake. Most people assume they know their thoughts, but they don't. They're too busy being carried by them. True awareness means stepping back enough to see the process clearly. When you begin observing, you'll discover how repetitive your thinking really is. The same fears, doubts, and stories replay daily, shaping how you act. You might realize that every time you start something new, a voice inside says, you might fail again. That thought alone can make you hesitate. But the moment you see it, you can challenge it. Observation breaks the illusion of automatic thinking. You begin to understand that your thoughts are not facts, they're patterns,
and patterns can be changed. Once you recognize a thought that limits you, the next step is to choose a new one that leads to better action. Let's say you often think, "I'm too tired to start." That thought triggers inaction. But if you replace it with "I'll start small and build energy as I go," the result changes. The action follows the thought. When your mind shifts, your behavior follows. Every change in behavior begins as a change in awareness. This process takes patience. The mind is fast. It produces thousands of thoughts every hour. But you don't need to catch them all. Focus on noticing the ones that cause strong emotions, because emotions reveal what thoughts are controlling you. If anger, frustration or fear rises, pause and trace it back. Ask yourself, what was I thinking before I felt this? You'll often find a hidden belief or assumption driving that feeling. The act of tracing it gives you insight and control. Awareness also helps you catch the stories you tell yourself. The mind loves to create narratives. I'm always unlucky. People don't respect me. Nothing ever works out for me. These stories shape how you behave without realizing it. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll stop trying. If you believe people don't value you, you'll act defensively. But when you start observing those stories, you can question them. You can replace them with more accurate, empowering ones. You can decide to live by truth, not by old scripts. Observation is not the same as overthinking. Overthinking is when you get lost in your thoughts. Observation is when you step back and see them as they are. It's like watching clouds pass instead of being caught in the storm. The moment you become aware that you're overthinking, you've already stepped into observation. That awareness gives you peace. You don't need to fight your thoughts, you just need to see them clearly. To train your mind in observation, take small pauses throughout the day. Before reacting to a message, before responding to someone's tone, before judging yourself, pause for a few seconds. Notice what your mind is doing. Ask yourself, what thought is shaping my feeling right now? That brief pause can change your entire day. You begin to realize that most emotional reactions aren't caused by events, but by your interpretation of them. When your interpretation changes, your behavior naturally follows. Your thinking determines how you handle challenges. Two people can face the same problem, yet act completely differently, because of how they think about it. One sees failure as proof of weakness, the other sees it as feedback. The first person quits, the second improves. The difference isn't in talent, it's in perception. Observing your thoughts gives you the power to shift perception from defeat to learning. And that single shift changes how you act in every situation. Your thoughts are habits. Some of them serve you, some of them don't. You might have learned them from childhood, from experience, or from people around you. But none of them are permanent. The brain is adaptable. It changes through awareness and repetition. When you notice a negative thought pattern and consistently replace it with a constructive one, you rewire your brain. Over time, your actions start aligning with this new mindset automatically. That's how deep change happens. Not through willpower alone, but through conscious observation and redirection. There's a kind of peace that comes with observing your mind instead of battling it. You stop fighting your emotions and start understanding that. If you feel anxious, instead of saying, "I hate this feeling," say, "This is what anxiety feels like." Notice where it sits in your body, what thought caused it, and what it's trying to protect you from. Awareness dissolves resistance. When you stop resisting your feelings, you gain control over your actions. Sometimes people believe their thoughts are their identity. They say, "That's just how I am." But that's not true. Thoughts are mental events, not definition. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. The moment you realize that, you gain incredible freedom. You can let thoughts come and go without attaching your worth to them. You can choose which ones deserve your attention. That choice changes everything about how you act and respond to life. One of the most powerful practices for observing thoughts is journaling. Writing slows down your thinking so you can see it clearly. When your thoughts are on paper, they lose their power to control you. You can analyze them, question them, and replace them. Journaling helps you notice recurring patterns, how you talk to yourself, what triggers your stress, and where your focus tends to drift. The more you write, the more you understand yourself, and the more your actions align with awareness instead of emotion. Another method is mindful reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to replay your actions. Ask yourself, why did I react that way? What was I thinking at that moment? This practice turns mistakes into learning tools. You stop judging your behavior and start studying it. Over time, this reflection builds emotional intelligence. You become more deliberate with your choices, calmer under stress, and clearer in your goals. Observing your thoughts also teaches you responsibility. When you stop blaming circumstances or people for your behavior and start recognizing the thinking behind it, you reclaim your power. You realize that your reactions are not controlled by what happens, but by how you interpret what happens. That's the core of mental freedom. You can't always change events, but you can always change the thoughts that drive your action. To make this process a habit, combine awareness with intentional breathing. When you slow your breath, your mind slows down too. Take deep breaths when your thoughts start racing. That small physical act grounds your attention in the present moment. The present is the only place where change can happen. You can't rewrite the past or control the future, but you can choose a better thought right now. That's where transformation begins. One conscious moment at a time. Observing thinking is not about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding it. When you understand your emotional patterns, you can redirect them toward growth. For example, frustration often hides unfulfilled desire. Instead of letting frustration turn into anger, use it as motivation to take constructive action. Sadness often hides reflection. It asks you to slow down and reconnect with meaning. When you learn to listen to your emotions without being ruled by them, your actions become mature and purposeful. Your relationships also change when you observe your thinking. You begin to notice how quickly the mind jumps to conclusions. You catch the judgments that arise before you speak. You start seeing how your assumptions affect communication. Awareness brings patience. You stop reacting from ego and start responding with understanding. That single shift can repair conflicts and strengthen connections. Most misunderstandings happen because people speak from emotion instead of awareness. Obsession fixes that at the root. Action without awareness is motion without direction. But when your actions come from conscious thought, they carry power. Every choice you make becomes deliberate. You no longer chase distractions or act out of habit. You act with intention. That's how success becomes sustainable. It's not about working harder. It's about working with clarity. When your thoughts align with your values, your behavior naturally follows in harmony. There will be times when you fall back into old thinking. That's part of the process. Don't criticize yourself. Observe it. See it as a signal that there's still something to learn. The more you observe without judgment, the faster you recover. Awareness grows stronger with practice. Every time you notice an unhelpful thought and choose differently, you strengthen your mental discipline. Change is built on thousands of these small conscious moments. Living with awareness turns your mind from an enemy into a guide. Instead of being pulled by emotions, you lead with clarity. You begin to understand that peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from understanding your own patterns. Once you know your patterns, you can rewrite them. And once you rewrite them, your life begins to take a new shape. When you observe your thinking, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop letting anger decide your words, fear decide your limits, and doubt decide your pace. You begin to act from wisdom instead of impulse. And that's when everything changes. The same world looks different because you're no longer blinded by automatic reactions. You're guided by conscious choice. So start paying attention. Watch your thoughts like a quiet observer. Notice them rise and fall. Don't fight them. Don't follow them. Just see them for what they are, temporary patterns that shape your actions. Then choose differently. Choose the thoughts that align with who you want to be, and your actions will follow naturally. That's how transformation happens. Not through force but through awareness. The moment you learn to observe your thinking, you begin to rewrite your life one thought, one choice, one action at a time.
Chapter 8. Direct thoughts toward daily progress. Progress is not built in one moment of inspiration. It's created through the quiet direction of your thoughts every single day. The mind is like a compass. Wherever you point it, your life starts to follow. If your thoughts stay scattered, your results stay scattered. But when you begin to direct your thinking toward consistent progress, you take charge of your path. You stop waiting for big changes to appear and start building them through small, intentional steps. Every day becomes meaningful because you're growing, improving, and moving closer to who you want to be. The challenge is that most people let their thoughts drift wherever the world pushes them. They wake up and immediately get pulled into noise, messages, news, distractions, worries. Their mind becomes reactive instead of creative. They respond to life instead of designing it. Daily progress starts when you decide to guide your thinking with purpose. You wake up and ask, what do I want my mind focused on today? That single question changes the direction of your energy. When your thoughts are directed toward progress, they act like quiet instructions to your subconscious. You begin to think about growth instead of guilt, solutions instead of stress, and actions instead of excuses. The mind works on whatever you give it. Feed it a goal, and it looks for ways to achieve it. Feed it confusion, and it multiplies problems. Directing your thoughts doesn't mean forcing yourself to think positively all the time. It means choosing what deserves your focus and letting go of what doesn't. Progress is built through focus. You can't improve everything at once, but you can improve one thing each day. It might be a new skill, a small habit, or even your attitude. When you guide your thoughts toward one meaningful goal, you simplify your life. Complexity destroys consistency. But clarity creates momentum. You don't need to think about 10 steps ahead, just the next one. The mind performs best when it has direction, not pressure. Daily progress begins in the morning. The first thoughts you allow in your mind set the tone for the day. If you start with anxiety, your whole day feels heavy. If you start with purpose, your energy becomes focused. Create a morning moment that centers your thoughts, whether it's quiet reflection, writing your goals, or simply sitting still for a few minutes. That time is not wasted. It's where you align your mind before the world tries to scatter it. A directed morning leads to a productive day. Your thoughts decide your pace. When your thinking is chaotic, progress feels rushed or delayed. But when your thoughts are steady and organized, you find a rhythm. You stop comparing yourself to others and start measuring yourself against your own growth. The mind needs direction, like the body needs exercise. It grows stronger when used with intention. Thinking about daily progress keeps you connected to the present, which is where all change actually happens. Every day gives you two choices. You can let your thoughts drift toward what's wrong, or you can direct them toward what can be improved. The difference between people who grow and those who stay stuck is attention. Growth-focused people don't ignore problems. They approach them with questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I handle this better next time? Those questions pull your thoughts toward progress instead of self-pity. You move forward because your mind is trained to look for steps, not excuses. To guide your thoughts effectively, you must be deliberate with your environment. What you see, hear, and repeat influences how you think. If you spend your time around people who complain, your thoughts will absorb negativity. But if you surround yourself with people who talk about learning, effort, and vision, your thoughts automatically start moving toward progress. The mind reflects its environment. Choose to stay in places that feed your focus, not your frustration. One way to keep your mind directed toward growth is to review your goals daily. Write them down, read them often, and visualize what achieving them feels like. This repetition programs your mind to stay aware of your priorities. When distractions arise, you'll notice them faster, because they don't fit the pattern you've been reinforcing. Daily review keeps your focus alive. Goals without mental repetition fade.
But when you keep them in front of your thoughts, they begin shaping your decisions automatically. Directing your thoughts toward progress also means letting go of perfection. Perfection kills movement because it demands flawless results instead of consistent effort. Progress doesn't need to be impressive, it just needs to be real. Small wins add up over time. The mind loves proof, and every small success becomes mental evidence that you're capable. When you acknowledge your own progress, no matter how small, you strengthen your belief. That belief fuels momentum, and momentum leads to transformation. The way you talk to yourself affects your direction more than anything else. Thoughts become internal conversations, and those conversations become your habits. Speak to yourself like someone you respect. When you fail, say, "I'm learning." When you struggle, say, "I can handle this." Those statements are not empty words. They're reminders that guide your thoughts toward action. Harsh self-talk drains focus, but supportive inner dialogue builds resilience. The stronger your inner voice, the faster your external result. Progress is not just about achievement, it's about consistency of mindset. Some days, you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you'll feel slow and uncertain. But as long as your thoughts stay pointed toward growth, you're still moving forward. The key is to avoid mental drift. The mind that wanders aimlessly will always return to old habits. The mind that's directed daily will evolve. You don't need motivation every day. You need direction every day. Motivation comes and goes. Direction stays steady. Use reflection as a tool for guidance. Each evening, take a few minutes to review your thoughts. Ask yourself, did my thinking today lead me closer to progress or pull me away? This kind of reflection creates awareness and adjustment. You'll begin to notice patterns, certain times when your thoughts lose focus or shift toward negativity. Once you identify those patterns, you can interrupt them earlier. The more aware you are of your thinking, the more power you have over your result. Discipline and mental direction work hand in hand. Discipline keeps you consistent, but direction keeps you motivated. It's easier to stay disciplined when you know where your energy is going. Many people fail, not because they lack effort, but because their effort has no target. Their thoughts are scattered across too many things. But when you decide what matters most, your thoughts naturally align. Clarity eliminates wasted energy. It's important to remember that directing your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means channeling emotion. Anger can turn into determination, sadness can turn into reflection, and fear can turn into focus. Every emotion has energy. Directing your thoughts gives that energy a productive path. When your emotions are guided by purpose, they become fuel instead of friction. The goal is not to avoid feeling. It's to think clearly while feeling deeply. Directing your mind also involves simplifying your inner world. Too many people try to think about everything at once, past regrets, future worries and current distractions. But progress happens when your thoughts stay centered in the present moment. Focus on what's right in front of you. Give your full attention to what you can do now. The more present you are, the more efficient you become. The mind that's grounded in the moment produces better results because it's not divided. Small rituals help keep your thinking organized. Begin your day with intention and end it with gratitude. These two moments act as mental anchor. In the morning, set a focus, one thing you'll do better today. At night, reflect on one thing you did well. This practice trains your brain to associate each day with progress. Over time, your subconscious begins expecting improvement instead of fearing mistakes. Progress becomes a habit, not an event. Be careful with the content you consume. The mind adapts to what it repeatedly sees. If you constantly absorb negativity, your thoughts will lean toward worry. But if you consume ideas that educate, inspire and challenge you, your thoughts will lean toward growth. Your mental diet must support your goals. Just like you choose food that nourishes your body, choose thoughts that nourish your mind. You can't fill your day with noise and expect clarity. Directing your thoughts toward progress also means celebrating effort, not just results. Progress is often invisible in the early stages. You might be building habits that no one sees or learning lessons that don't show immediate reward. A growth-directed mind values the process as much as the outcome. When you learn to find satisfaction in effort, you stop quitting early. You keep showing up because you know each day counts. The habit of effort builds inner confidence that can't be shaken. Resilience grows from consistent focus. Life will always test your patience. But when your thoughts are centered on daily improvement, setbacks don't feel final. You start seeing them as part of the process. You adapt faster because your mind stays oriented towards solutions. Resilience is not toughness, it's flexibility. It's the ability to keep adjusting your thoughts toward progress, no matter what's happening outside of you. Another essential part of directing your thoughts is forgiveness. You can't focus on progress while holding on to guilt or regret. Those emotions keep your thoughts stuck in the past. Learn from your mistakes, then let them go. Forgiveness clears mental space for new ideas. The mind can't move forward while replaying old pain. Progress requires lightness, both emotional and mental. The more you release, the more freely you can think. Progress is built through small repeated wins. The human mind gains strength through completion. Every time you finish something, even a small task, your brain releases satisfaction. That satisfaction reinforces confidence. The more you complete, the more you believe in your ability to follow through. Directing your thoughts toward finishing what you start builds trust in yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of long-term growth. To maintain this focus, remind yourself that direction matters more than speed. Some days, progress will be slow. Other days, it will be quick. But as long as you keep your thoughts pointed toward forward movement, you're succeeding. The biggest mistake people make is stopping when things feel slow. The mind that stays steady eventually wins. The direction of your thoughts determines the destination of your life. There's peace in knowing you're moving forward, even in small ways. When your thoughts are aligned with progress, you stop chasing validation. You measure yourself by effort and improvement, not comparison. That's where fulfillment begins. Growth is no longer about proving something. It's about becoming something. Each day becomes a brick in the foundation of your best self. When you train your mind to think progress, you stop wasting energy on what's beyond your control. You stop fighting the past and fearing the future. You focus on now, on action, learning, and effort. You realize that progress is not about giant leaps, but about steady direction. Each thought of improvement adds to the next, and before you know it, you've changed your life. Direct your thoughts wisely. Point them toward what builds, not what breaks. Guide them toward growth, not guilt. Keep them focused on what you can do today, not what you failed to do yesterday. That's how real change happens. One thought of progress at a time. When your mind moves forward every day, your life can't help but follow.
Chapter 9. Shape mindset. Master your emotions. Your emotions are powerful, but they are not meant to control you. They are signals, not commands. They tell you where your attention is, what matters to you, and what needs to be understood. But they are not meant to run your life. The foundation of every strong person is a shaped mindset and mastered emotions. When your mindset is stable, your emotions serve you instead of rule you. When your emotions are balanced, your decisions become intelligent instead of impulsive. Together, they create strength that nothing outside of you can shake. Your mindset is the filter through which you see life. Every situation, every person, and every challenge passes through it. Two people can face the same event and respond in opposite ways, not because the event is different, but because their mindset is. The first person sees difficulty as a wall. The second sees it as a test. The first gives up. The second grows stronger. The event doesn't define the outcome. The mindset does. That's why shaping your mindset is the starting point of emotional mastery. Mindset isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's shaped by what you believe about yourself, about others, and about what's possible. If you believe you can grow, you act with persistence. If you believe your abilities are fixed, you avoid challenges out of fear. Your beliefs set the limits of your potential. The good news is that beliefs can be reshaped. You can train your mind to think in a way that supports your growth, your peace, and your vision.
It begins by paying attention to the thoughts you allow to live in your head every day. A shaped mindset doesn't avoid difficulty, it interprets it differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" it asks, "What can I learn from this?" That single shift changes how you feel. When your mindset looks for meaning, your emotions begin to settle. You stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as preparation. Your emotions follow your interpretation. Change the story in your head, and your feelings change too. That's the power of shaping your mindset. It gives you emotional control through perspective. Every emotion carries information. Fear shows you where you need courage. Anger points to a boundary being crossed. Sadness signals that something matters deeply to you. Joy tells you that something is aligned with your values. When you learn to listen to emotions without being controlled by them, you turn them into teachers. Mastering emotions is not about suppressing them. It's about understanding their message. Suppression leads to explosion. Understanding leads to peace. To master emotions, you must first allow them. Most people run from discomfort because they think emotional pain means weakness. But emotions are energy. They only become toxic when ignored. When you allow yourself to feel, you release the tension attached to the emotion. You acknowledge it, understand it, and then let it pass. Emotional mastery is not about never feeling, it's about not staying stuck. A strong mindset helps you navigate emotions wisely. When anger rises, your mindset reminds you to pause. When fear shows up, your mindset reminds you of past victories. When doubt tries to whisper, your mindset reminds you of your worth. That's how the mind becomes your ally. You use reason and awareness to balance emotion with logic. The more balanced your responses, the more effective your actions. Daily habits shape your mindset more than anything else. What you read, what you say to yourself, and how you interpret events, all these shape the foundation of your mind. When you wake up, your first thoughts set the emotional tone of the day. If you start with gratitude, you build calm. If you start with complaints, you build tension. Every day gives you a chance to train your emotional response by training your thoughts. A calm mind produces steady emotions. A chaotic mind produces unstable ones. To shape your mindset effectively, practice awareness of triggers. Notice what situations make your emotions rise quickly. It could be criticism, rejection, or uncertainty. Each trigger points to a belief underneath it. Maybe you believe you're not good enough, or that failure defines you. When you identify the belief, you can challenge it. You can replace it with a new one that empowers you. Emotional maturity comes from awareness, not avoidance. Emotions often distort perception. When you're angry, the world feels unfair. When you're afraid, everything seems risky. When you're sad, everything feels heavier. That's why mastering emotions requires patience. Before reacting, pause and breathe. The pause gives your thinking brain a chance to take over from your emotional brain. This simple act can save relationships, protect opportunities, and maintain peace of mind. You can't make good decisions in emotional chaos, but with a shaped mindset, you create distance between feeling and reaction. A major part of mastering emotions is accepting that you can't control everything. Life will always bring surprises, some good, some painful. A wise mindset focuses on what can be controlled. Attitude, effort, and response. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your emotions calm naturally. You stop fighting reality and start adapting to it. That adaptability is strength. It allows you to keep growing, even in chaos. Your language also shapes emotion. The words you use create your experience. Saying, "I'm broken," keeps you stuck in pain. Saying, "I'm healing," opens the door to recovery. Language programs the mind. When you speak in empowering terms, you guide your emotions toward hope. Every word carries emotional weight, so choose the ones that lift you. Speak kindly to yourself, especially in difficult times. The more compassion you give yourself, the easier it is to master emotion. Emotion and physiology are deeply connected. When your body is tense, your emotions intensify. When your breathing is shallow, anxiety grows. When you move, stretch and breathe deeply, your emotions balance naturally. That's why physical habits matter. A healthy body supports a stable mind. If you neglect your physical state, your emotions become harder to manage. Regular exercise, good sleep, and mindful breathing are not luxuries, they are tools for emotional balance. Resilience comes from a mindset shaped through challenge. Every time you face something difficult and stay calm, you strengthen emotional endurance. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel pain, it means you know you'll recover. That belief alone softens fear. You stop seeing pain as permanent and start seeing it as part of growth. A strong mindset turns obstacles into opportunities for emotional strength. Each time you endure, you build mental armor that doesn't harden your heart, but steadies your spirit. Another part of emotional mastery is perspective. When you look at your life from a wider view, small frustrations lose power. What feels unbearable today often becomes wisdom tomorrow. Perspective allows you to step outside of emotion and see life's bigger picture. You begin to understand that not everything deserves a reaction. Some things simply need understanding and time. When your perspective expands, peace replaces panic. To master emotions, you must also learn to forgive. Holding on to anger or resentment poisons the mind. It keeps your thoughts stuck in the past and drains your energy. Forgiveness isn't about approving what happened, it's about freeing yourself from carrying it. When you forgive, your emotions loosen their grip. You make space for clarity and compassion. That emotional freedom allows your mindset to stay clear and forward-looking. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to stabilize emotion. It shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's present. When you practice gratitude daily, your brain rewires itself to notice the good. This doesn't mean ignoring pain, it means balancing it. A grateful mind feels emotions deeply but doesn't drown in them. Gratitude gives perspective to pain. It reminds you that even in hard times, something good still exists. That reminder brings calm and strength. A shaped mindset doesn't chase happiness, it builds peace. Happiness comes and goes with conditions, but peace comes from stability. When you master your emotions, you can stay centered even when circumstances change. You no longer depend on external things for your inner balance. That independence gives you confidence. You start living from the inside out instead of the outside in. Awareness is the bridge between mindset and emotion. When you notice what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, you gain control. Emotional maturity is simply awareness in action. You don't deny emotion, you manage it. You allow it to inform you without defining you. For example, when disappointment arises, you recognize it as a signal of unmet expectations. You adjust your approach instead of collapsing into discouragement. That's how awareness turns emotion into growth. Your mindset becomes stronger every time you choose response over reaction. When someone insults you, you can either match their energy or keep your peace. The second choice is power. Emotional mastery isn't about winning arguments, it's about maintaining inner control. The more you practice this, the less outside noise affects you. You stop wasting emotional energy on things that don't deserve it. That conservation of energy gives you more focus for what truly matters. Emotions are part of being human. You will feel anger, sadness, fear and joy throughout your life. Mastery doesn't erase them, it integrates them. It teaches you to use emotion as guidance, rather than a cage. When you're sad, you slow down and reflect. When you're joyful, you share and create. When you're afraid, you prepare and grow. Each emotion becomes a tool for self-awareness. A shaped mindset helps you know which emotion to listen to, and which to release. One powerful exercise for mastering emotions is mindful breathing. When you feel overwhelmed, focus entirely on your breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly and anchor your mind to the present moment. The mind can't dwell on chaos when focused on breathing. This practice restores emotional stability and reminds you that you are always in control of at least one thing, your response. Surround yourself with people who encourage calm thinking and emotional intelligence. The environment you're in can either strengthen or sabotage your mindset. Spend time with those who handle stress gracefully, who listen without judgment, who inspire growth. Their example will reinforce your own emotional discipline. Just as emotions are contagious, so is emotional stability. Shaping your mindset and mastering your emotions takes time, but the reward is profound freedom. You no longer react blindly to life. You choose, you lead yourself with clarity, you build relationships with understanding, you make decisions with confidence. Your emotions become companions instead of enemies. They give color to your experiences without distorting your direction. The ultimate goal is balance, a state where your thoughts are clear, your emotions are calm, and your actions are intentional. That balance doesn't mean life is perfect. It means you've developed the ability to handle imperfection with grace. You rise above small frustrations. You stay grounded during uncertainty. You keep your vision steady, even when storms come. When you shape your mindset, you design your life. When you master your emotions, you preserve your peace. Together, they make you unstoppable. Because no matter what happens outside of you, you remain in control of what happens inside. And when you can control what's inside, nothing outside can break you.
Chapter 10. Believe better, become your best. Belief is the root of every result. What you believe about yourself shapes every decision you make, every risk you take, and every limit you accept. The truth is simple: no one rises higher than their self-belief. You can have the best strategy, the most talent, or the greatest opportunity, but without belief, none of it matters. Belief is the fuel that turns potential into performance. When you believe better, you begin to live better, and when your belief grows stronger than your fear, you step into your best self. You are living right now at the level your mind believes you deserve. Every part of your life, your confidence, your relationships, your work, your habits, is a reflection of what you've accepted as possible. The difference between people who settle and people who soar isn't luck, it's belief. Those who believe in growth, possibility and progress find a way to move forward even when it's hard. Those who doubt themselves find reasons to stand still. The gap between where you are and where you could be is often nothing more than a thought you haven't changed yet. Belief is not wishful thinking. It's not about pretending everything is fine or ignoring reality. It's a deep conviction that you can create a better reality by who you choose to become. Belief begins as a decision, not a feeling. You don't wait until you feel confident, you start believing while you're still uncertain. Confidence comes later, built through consistent proof. The moment you start acting on belief instead of fear, your life starts moving in a different direction. Every belief you hold has been learned. Some were taught by family, some by experience, some by pain. You might have learned to play small, to stay safe, to avoid risk. Those beliefs were meant to protect you, but now they limit you. The good news is that beliefs can be rewritten. You can choose new ones. You can decide that you are capable, that you deserve more, that you can rise no matter what you've been through. The mind accepts what it hears repeatedly. That's why self-talk matters so much. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love and want to see win. Your belief system controls your behavior without you realizing it. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll stop trying when things get hard. If you believe success is for others, you'll never take the leap. But if you believe your actions matter, you'll keep going through challenges. Belief shapes effort. The stronger the belief, the more consistent the effort. And consistent effort always creates growth. You don't need to have everything figured out, you just need to believe that your effort will make a difference. To believe better, you must become aware of the lies your mind repeats. Those silent sentences that say, you can't, you're not ready, or you always fail. These thoughts are not facts. They are reflections of past conditioning. Start challenging them. Ask, is this belief helping me or holding me back? Every time you question a limiting belief, you weaken its power. Every time you replace it with an empowering truth, you strengthen your foundation. That's how belief evolves, through awareness and repetition. One of the most powerful truths to accept is that you are not behind. Life moves in seasons. Some seasons are for building, some for learning, and some for healing. Stop comparing your timeline to someone else's. Comparison kills belief because it shifts your focus from progress to lack.
Your journey is unique. Your growth is not meant to look like anyone else's. Believe that your pace is right for your purpose, and you'll move with confidence instead of pressure. Believing better doesn't mean ignoring struggle. It means trusting that struggle leads to strength. Every time you go through difficulty and survive, you have evidence that you can handle more than you thought. But too often, people focus on what went wrong instead of what they overcame. Train your mind to collect proof of your strength. Write down the moments you pushed through fear, stayed patient, or improved something small. These memories are reminders that you're capable of more. When your mind remembers your victories, belief grows naturally. You can't become your best if your inner voice is your biggest critic. The mind listens to itself. If it keeps hearing, "I'm not enough," it starts acting that way. But when it hears, "I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm growing," it starts acting accordingly. Self-belief is not arrogance, it's self-respect. It's the quiet understanding that you are worth the effort it takes to reach your potential. Every time you speak kindly to yourself, you add another layer to your foundation of belief. Your best self is not a version you'll discover one day. It's one you build every day. You become it through choices, discipline, and persistence. Every morning, you decide who you'll be. You can choose to repeat old beliefs, or to create new ones. You can choose to let fear lead or to let faith. Belief gives you power because it directs your focus toward what's possible instead of what's missing. When you start believing that you can change, your actions align with that belief, and your reality starts to shift. The people around you also influence your belief. Spend time with those who challenge you to grow, who remind you of your strength when you forget it, who see potential in you before you see it yourself. Their words feed your mind. The wrong company can make belief fade. The right company can make it multiply. Protect your environment as fiercely as your goals. You can't believe better while living in constant negativity. Surround yourself with energy that reflects the future you're building, not the past you've outgrown. Visualization is another tool to strengthen belief. Close your eyes and see yourself living your best self, calm, confident, fulfilled. Feel it. The brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. It responds to the emotion. The more vividly you see your future self, the more your mind begins to accept it as possible. Belief starts to feel familiar, and what feels familiar becomes natural to pursue. You act differently because your mind has already experienced success. To believe better, you must also learn to forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone learns from them. Guilt keeps you stuck. Forgiveness frees you to grow. When you forgive yourself, you stop defining yourself by your past. You make room for new belief to enter. You can't build a strong mindset on regret, you build it on responsibility. Accept what happened. Take the lesson, and move forward with wisdom. That's how belief matures. Your best self doesn't come from avoiding fear. It comes from facing it. Fear will always exist because it's part of being human. But fear only grows when you feed it with attention. The moment you focus on belief instead, fear starts losing strength. Take small risks daily to train your courage. Speak up when it's uncomfortable. Try something new. Break routine. Each act of courage proves to your mind that belief is stronger than fear. And once the mind knows that, it starts trusting you. Becoming your best also means staying consistent with your vision. Anyone can believe for a day. The challenge is believing every day, especially when progress feels slow. That's when belief truly matters, when results aren't visible yet, but you keep going anyway. Consistent belief turns effort into transformation. It builds unseen strength that later becomes visible success. The people who reach their goals aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who believe again after every doubt. Belief is not static. It grows as you do. The more you learn, the more you realize what's possible. Stay curious. Read. Reflect. Ask questions. Growth keeps belief alive. A stagnant mind stops believing because it stops expanding. The moment you stop learning, your world starts shrinking. The more you feed your belief with knowledge, experience, and reflection, the more confidence you gain to step into new challenges. Faith in yourself is built through alignment, when your words, actions, and intentions match. When you promise yourself something and follow through, you prove your reliability. The mind remembers. Each fulfilled promise builds trust in yourself. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes belief. Many people break trust with themselves by quitting early or making excuses. Start rebuilding it by keeping small commitments. Do what you say you'll do, even when it's inconvenient. Over time, you'll realize that you can depend on you. That's the core of self-belief. Your best self is not a distant dream. It's who you are when your belief and action align. It's the version of you that wakes up with purpose and goes to bed with peace. It's the one who no longer needs approval because you've built inner assurance. You stop chasing validation because belief has replaced insecurity. You no longer wait for confidence to start. You start, and confidence follows. To strengthen belief, focus on progress, not perfection. The mind often sabotages belief by demanding flawless outcome, but perfection is the enemy of growth. Every small improvement is proof that belief works. Each day you show up, you confirm your commitment. Over time, these confirmations build unshakable confidence. The greatest transformations happen quietly, inside your thinking, long before the world sees the result. Belief also requires patience. You can't rush self-growth. There will be days when nothing seems to change, when you question your effort, when you feel tired of waiting. Those moments test your belief. Remember, every seed takes time to grow. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. The work you do in silence, the thoughts you redirect, the habits you build, they're all shaping your future. Keep going. Patience is proof of belief. Your best self is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. True belief has humility. It doesn't compare. It commits. It knows that growth is personal. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You need to live. Each time you choose effort over excuses, courage over comfort, and growth over stagnation, you become closer to your best. Believe better, because belief is the root of becoming. When you strengthen belief, you change identity. You start to see yourself as capable, disciplined, worthy, and strong. And when that identity becomes solid, your actions align automatically. You no longer need constant motivation. Your belief drives you. You wake up each morning, ready to build, to contribute, to evolve. That's what your best self does. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them. In the end, believing better is not just about thinking positively. It's about taking responsibility for what you allow in your mind. It's about replacing doubt with discipline, fear with faith, and excuses with effort. It's about deciding, every single day, that your life will rise to the level of your belief. Because once you